Living creatures like humans have beating hearts and also feel pain. So why do we continue to do experimental testing on mice and rabbits and other animals? Why can't we do testing on inmates on death row? They're in there for a reason for harming humans, and they're going to die anyways. Animals feel and hurt just like humans, and scientists continue to do experiments on animals. There are new technologies out now that are better and less expensive. So why do we continue to do this to animals? In my speech, I will go over information about animal testing, cosmetic testing, and other options for experimental drugs. I'm now going to talk a little bit about animal testing. Why we do it? The FDA requires that new drugs go through a clinical trial. Lauren Pycroft, who is a founder of the ProTest, informs us that the human body is very complex and not like any other animal. Animals' bodies are different in many ways, but the main way they are different than humans is the way they metabolize things. Humane researcher Helen Marston tells us about the devastating case that proves the inaccuracy of testing on animals. The Thalidomide disaster reported thousands of babies being born with severe deformities. During the clinical trial, the testing on animals did not show any side effects, but given to a human, the babies were born with deformities. There are many countries like China that do not require cosmetic testing on animals. Other countries like the European Union and Israel have banned all animal testing on cosmetic products and household products. In the United States, it's not even required by law to do animal testing on these products. This information came from PETA.org. I strongly suggest everyone watch the David Navarro video on PETA.org about the cruelty of testing on animals. He informs us that to test products like mascara or eyeliner, the rabbits are injected in their eye by a chemical to see if there are going to be any adverse reactions. This is extremely wrong. In a Q&A article about animal testing, Neil Bernard, MD, explains that there are other ways to do testing. There is a procedure that takes the human cells and puts it in a test tube that mimic the human skin that companies can use to test their product and no longer have to use animals. Also, the National Disease Research Intra-Channel in Philadelphia has made it even easier for companies to have access to human cells and tissues for testing. Now that I have talked about the cruel testing of animals, now let's look at alternative options. I told y'all that the human body is complex and not like any other animal. So why do we test on different animals when they do not absorb or metabolize drugs the same as we do? The University of Harvard has joined a pharmaceutical company called AstraZeneca in developing an animal organ chip. This way the testing doesn't have to be done on an animal. This way it is done on a tissue, and it shows how animals absorb the drug. Also, Neil Bernard, in the Q&A article I read, informs us about a development by Hurl Corporation that can be used in seeing how a drug is going to be absorbed in a human liver or kidney. It's a chip, like the animal chip. Last but not least, microdosing. A company can give volunteers a small amount of the drug and see how it is tracked through the body. I hope that I have opened your eyes when it comes for animal testing and other options for drugs other than animals. I beg anyone that uses cosmetics or household products, please go to PETA.org and get the shopping guidelines. This will inform you about companies that do not use animal testing. Help save animals' lives. Don't allow them to die a cruel and painful death. If there is other ways of testing drugs other than using animals, shouldn't we fight for their rights? Our bodies is very complex. We're learning more and more every day about our bodies. How can we say a drug doesn't work, like for a cure for cancer, if we're testing it on animals that are not like our bodies? Just because it doesn't work for an animal, how do we not know it's not going to help save a life, a human life? Thank you.